Are you ready to journey through the cosmos with me as I set up my 2021 business bullet journal? Let's go. Hey y'all, Beth here with Thoughts and Beyond. Welcome back to my channel, or welcome to my channel if this is your first time. I'm excited to come to you again with another Plan With Me video. This one is for my 2021 business bullet journal. I have selected this Archer and Olive Zodiac Capricorn themed journal. Originally, I wanted to do a Battlestar Galactica theme for the entire year. I scrapped that a little, although I am definitely sticking with science fiction. It's just going to be far more generalized. So here in my 2021 setup, I am sticking with a space/galaxy theme, and there's lots of different ways that you can do the space and the galaxy in your bullet journal. You can use just markers and to get that effect. If you want to look at my 2021 personal bullet journal setup, I definitely used that technique in that journal, but here I am actually going to use paint, and I'm having a moment here as I decide where to put the first paint brush stroke. I'm not much of an artist. It's been a long time since I have used paints of any kind, but I am going to use here gouache paints that I picked up at Michael's. The brand is Artist's Loft, and they work great, and we're off. There we go. We have got paint to paper. I was super nervous, but I had tested a number of different methods for getting the look of the galaxy or the space that I wanted. Again, I used a little bit of that in my 2021 personal setup. I will definitely link that in the cards for you if you want to go look at it. But I wanted something a little more impactful for this journal. I did some trial and error on scrap paper using different methods. One of those being using the watercolor markers on saran wrap or a plastic bag, spraying it with a little water so you can maneuver it, putting that on the page. But that did not give me enough control with my drips. As you can see, I have a small drip there coming down off the top of the page, and that is sort of the inspiration for this entire setup. So there is a quote from Star Trek: The Next Generation, Captain Picard, where he says, "Live now, make now always the most precious time. Now will never come again." And I had this visual of space dripping through an hourglass. Jumping ahead here because this took me a super long time to get all of my dripping space dry, painted the way that I wanted it to look. And now I'm going to come in and fill in the details with that quote that I just shared with you, as well as drawing my hourglass off on the right side. One of the other reasons this quote appealed to me so much today is that time has gotten away from me in this pandemic, and I know it's been very interesting to see how everyone has dealt with time. Again, this is my business bullet journal, and I'm very glad to be back at work, but I was furloughed from my job for 6 months due to the pandemic, and I discovered that I don't idle very well. I don't know how to spend my time when I am not focused on work. I am a little bit of a workaholic, and so I have had a hard time even going back to work, getting back into the groove. I say things like just the other day and realize that no, that was 4 months ago. And so I'm trying to get my sense of time back into scope since all of this with the pandemic started, much like a lot of other people. After all the paint and outlining is done, I'm coming in with my white, silver gel pens and putting in galaxy symbols, stars, moons, that sort of thing. And here we have my completed cover page. Rolling directly into my key and my grid guide. I did not film the setup of my grid guide. There are so many different grid guide setup videos that are out there. Know that I do use one. It comes in very, very handy. I refer to it an awful lot. And then my key, I don't necessarily need my key anymore. I just like having a key page. I think it's a neat page to have. And so here, to go along with my time and my space theme continuing through, I am adding the hands of a clock to this key page, and then I will come in and add sort of a black hole spinny graphic that I drew inspiration from a lot of sort of NASA photographs in order to come up with that graphic. Here come the paints again to make my spinning black hole. This was a fun graphic to try to do, maneuvering the paint around a little bit. It would have been easier had I used watercolor paper, I think, so that I could push the paint around on the page a little easier. If you don't know, watercolors and gouache paints actually dry very, very quickly on the Archer and Olive bullet journal paper. And so if you want to have more control, you do need to paint on watercolor separately, and then either scan it and put it into your book, or paste the original watercolor painting into your book, however you want to do that. I don't have a Patreon or want to sell any of my work at this point in time, and so I chose to just paint it directly into my journal, and there you go. And again, once the paint is dry, I'm coming in with white and silver gel pens to put in all of those fun galaxy elements that add a little sparkle, as well as get in some planets and some stars, some loopy galaxies, some moons, some comets, just to have that fun overall galaxy vibe. Turning the page now, I'm preparing to set up for my future log. You'll notice I did not put in a calendar or year at a glance. I feel like I can come to my 4 pages of the future log and get that information just as quickly without writing out all of the calendars multiple times. In my personal setup, I did attempt to use stickers for the months, and I designed them and printed them correctly, but then I pasted them in wrong, and if I can't be trusted to paste them in correctly, I might as well just write them. And I did not want to do both in at a glance as well as a future log. So I am going to mask off with some leftover washi tape here at the top so that I can paint in some headers. Obviously I'm struggling a little getting that washi loose. If you're going to paint in your journal, washi tape makes a great masking tape. You just got to get it pressed down firmly. And then I'm going to come in and do those headers. I am not going to make you watch me setting up this entire future log. You've already watched me paint this galaxy on several occasions. So we are going to move along pretty quickly. I'll get this first bit done, and then boom. And again, I will fill in. I'm using a little bubble alternating between blue and purple for my month headers so that you can see what those look like. Just alternating colors. These are Crayola Super Tips that I am using. There were 2 colors in the 50-pack box that worked perfectly for this. So that is January and March that I'm coloring in now with the blue. And then May, and then I'll come back with the purple and I will color in the alternate months. Once those are all colored in, I'm going to come along and put a quote at the bottom of each page. For the first 6 months here, the quote I'm using is, "It is by will alone I set my mind in motion," which of course is from June. And then when you turn the page for the back half of the year, my quote is from good old Yoda with "Try not, do or do not, there is no try." One thing I do not do when I am putting in my mini calendars is I do not write the entire thing in pencil. If you can learn to do from the first of the month and then go 1, 8, 15, 22, 29, down that row, whatever day of the week that starts on, that's pretty much all I put in. I might jump from 29 to 30 or 31 as well to get all of those numbers in and know where they're going to be placed. I do check and double check and recheck it along the way because I'm always convinced I'm going to make a mistake on my mini calendars. But we're going to get January in here, get some formatting on January, and then we are going to jump to Future Beth and Future Bullet Journal, where I will have both pages set up for the entire year, January all the way through December. And here we go. There you go. January, February, March, April, May, and June on one page. July through December on the next page. And then my quotes across the bottom with plenty of space to put in those things. And I did not write a title for Future Log up at the top. I know what these pages are. I don't feel like this needs a header or a title. I did feel like it was weighted very heavily though across the top, so I am placing a little bitty strip of colored washi tape here across the bottom. This is a matte washi tape. I got it off of Amazon, and I will definitely link it down below for you because it's perfect for writing on. So even though that is a solid color washi, I'm going to come back along with my white and silver gel pens and give it a little bit of galaxy flair as well, just to tie in with the top of the page. If you are a fan of science fiction, I'm curious to know what your favorite movies are, your favorite television shows. I have a huge list of shows that I want to possibly do for each month of the year and honor those. Obviously, I can't fit them all in. I have to pick just 12. And I'm wondering maybe if I've missed something out there in my list. And then you guys can go and follow me on @dotsandbeyond on Instagram. I'll probably be doing some polls there as well as here on YouTube as to what you might want to see the next month. I do have January picked out. It is one of my top 5 movies of all time. So I will be doing an Arrival theme for January. If you want to come back in a few days and see that video, it'll be up as well. But definitely comment down below and let me know what your favorite science fiction movies are. I'm really interested to know if you have very specific quotes that you love from those movies or those television shows, or even if it's just from the book. Because I am basing all of my spreads off of a specific quote. So definitely share those with me in the comments below. There we are, putting the final little touches on the future log and getting ready to move on to one of my favorite spreads for my business bullet journal, and that is my Myers-Briggs assessment. If you've not taken a Myers-Briggs assessment, I would highly recommend that you do so. It's one of those things that I have learned a lot about myself over the years as I have grown and changed, and my assessment has changed a little bit from time to time. So I am actually an ENTJ, and if you're wondering what that stands for, I have a link below for 16personalities.com, which is my favorite Myers-Briggs sort of website. But those things are based off of your mind, your energy, your nature, your tactics, and then your identity. So mind is either extrovert or introvert, and mine is an extrovert. My energy is intuitive, hence the N. My nature is thinking, so that is the T. And then my tactics are judging, which is the J. And then my identity is definitely assertive. So I'm an ENTJ-A, which is known as the commander, which is actually a very rare Myers-Briggs type specifically for women. There's not a whole lot of us out there that have that commander type. I used to be an ENTP through most of sort of junior high and high school and college, and then it was when I moved into the workplace that P swung very heavily from perceptive in tactic to judging in tactic, and I went from a hard ENTP to a hard ENTJ. So that's one of those things that I find very, very interesting. As you can tell, there is just a lot of writing on this page, and I'm definitely not going to make you watch it all as I fill it in. That's all in pencil. I wanted to kind of hit the high points of the ENTJ. I always put this in a little bit differently, but it does help me as I work with coworkers to know what my strengths or my weaknesses are. I strive to be a team player because I know that my personality type actually leans towards dominance or being the leader and taking over, taking charge, and so I definitely am mindful of those things in my work environment and make an effort to be more self-aware. And so I always put this in here as a reminder. So I am going to paint a header here at the top, similar to what I did on the other pages, so that I can put in the title, The Commander, and then I will be back in just a few minutes with that completed. And there you have it, my completed Myers-Briggs assessment in my bullet journal, just as a reminder to be mindful of those traits. Similar to my Myers-Briggs, and I skipped a lot of the nitty-gritty of this setup, is the Enneagram. I am new to the Enneagram, but I am an 8, which is the challenger, and all of those traits align very, very perfectly with my Myers-Briggs. So I don't know what those two tests kind of have in common or the way that I answer them, but I am curious to kind of delve into my Enneagram challenger type a little deeper. I do like this has levels of development, 1 to 3 being healthy, 4 to 6 being average, 7 to 9 being unhealthy, and mine ranges quite far from one end to the other. Moving on to the next page, this left side is going to be a quote page, and again I have masked off some space to paint more of my galaxy. I am getting a little more liberal with the water and letting it just sort of blend together like a watercolor would in order to get the look that I'm going for. I think some of these ended up a little more purpley than dark blue, which is where the original cover page started, but that's all fine. It all has the same vibe, and that's what I was going for. Jumping ahead here, you can see I'm putting on some final touches after letting some of this dry. And the quote that is going to go in that gap is from Contact, which is one of my favorite space-related movies. It is, "If it is just us, seems like an awful waste of space." I love that quote, and I came up with this design to put it there in the big empty void between my galaxy areas. And then on the right side of this page, I am doing a shift tracker. And the setup for this is very much like the setup for a year in pixels, except that here in my bullet journal, I am using it to track the different types of shifts that I have at work. So I am an event manager by trade. That is what I do every single day. Of course, there's not as many events happening right now, but we are definitely looking forward to a brighter event future over the next coming months. But those shifts for me have definitely changed with working from home, which is new. And so I have MOD, which is manager on duty, office, which are sort of my office days when I'm doing pre-planning for events that are coming up, work from home, days that I can actually be here at home working and again doing the same things that I would be doing in the office, just not in an office setting, and then off. So there's 4 different shifts I want to track to see which ones of those I have over the years. Sometimes I do have shifts that are split, and so as this gets filled in over the year, you might see that those are separated diagonally depending on whether I split my shifts or not. Moving on, this is my goals for first quarter. I have chosen 2 focuses that would have then 3 goals below them each for the first quarter. I'm not going to write those in here. Those are confidential and related to work projects that are going on. But I did want to go ahead and show you how I set up my goals. And on the top of each page, I have focus 1 on the left, focus 2 on the right, January, February, March, and then on the right again, January, February, March. And then those goals again can be broken down into 3 smaller ones below. Moving on from my goals page, this is a projects page. This is a Kanban board, and as an event manager, I have used one of these for years. Figuring out how to get into my bullet journal took a little bit of effort. I can tell you that Elizabeth from Plant-Based Bride has a brilliant video on how to put a Kanban board in your bullet journal. If you want to go and watch that, I'm not going to recreate the wheel, but I use just the small post-it or sticky notes to write one project and move it from one area to the other, from ideas to ready to in progress to review, parked, and then to completed. Now that that is done, I am moving on to, I think, the last spread. Yep, this is the last spread in this setup. And again, it falls back on working from home, which is very unusual in our industry. Most event managers don't do a whole lot of work from home work. And so I am setting up an ideal day. And so I have that set up to begin at 7 a.m. and end at 7 p.m.-ish for me. On my ideal day, trying to keep work and home separate from one another when I'm here in the same space. So I have got waking up at 7-ish, getting in some yoga, shower, coffee and breakfast time. I do need to be logged in to work with my work cell phone turned on at about 8:30. And then for the morning, I have set that aside for event-focused projects that I need to be doing. And then lunch, and then in the afternoon are project management projects that I need to be working on. So we have a lot going on in the office right now. COVID having given us time to do some projects that we might not have had time to get done without the pandemic. And so my morning times are set aside for events and my afternoons are set aside for projects. On the right side of the page, I have come up with a quick tasks pane. This is for me to list 5, 10, or 15-minute work-related tasks where I can just break away from something that I am working a little too intensely on, and I need to give my brain a little bit of a break. Sometimes that might be checking email. Other times that could even be getting up and taking a 15-minute walk, going to get a glass of water. I do count those things as work-related because if we are not working efficiently, we obviously cannot get those things done that we need to get done. In here, I have added in a little strip of washi between the 5-minute and 10-minute pane on the right, as well as between the 10-minute and the 15-minute, and again across the top, just so that I can tie in my galaxy theme, even though I don't have a lot of space here. to do so, but I can definitely get those moons and stars and things added into this spread so that it ties in with the rest of the setup. And now that that's done, we are ready for a final flip through. Again, I still haven't put my name in there. It's been several days since I did this, and I still haven't put my name in the front of this cover. But there is my 2021 Dripping Time cover page. That is one of the most favorite things I have put in a bullet journal yet. Grid spacing guide and the key. I love the graphic on the key as well. My future log. One of the most heavily used pages in my bullet journal is the future log. And then my ENTJ layout, followed by the Enneagram layout. Again, I'm still learning about Enneagram, so I'm not a good resource to go to find out a whole lot about it, but we can learn together. My quote page, as well as my shift tracker, again following the year in pixels model, and then I did come in and add this piece of washi down the side just to fill that empty space. Final goals page, my Kanban board for projects, and then the work from home and tasks. And that, my friends, is my setup for 2021. There are some pages in between here where I am going to do some videos specific to professional development and tracking that professional development in your bullet journal as well. Thank you for sticking with me. I know this was a long one. Please take the time to subscribe and click that notification bell. I'll see y'all later.